Welcome back to another video, folks. I thought I would take the time to give a quick overview and review of these wireless headphones that I've recently bought. The earbuds we're going to be reviewing today are Soundcore by Anker, model P20i. I bought them from Amazon for £15.99. Well, up to this point I've always used Apple Airpods, but due to the demise such as my dog eating one and me losing another one, it's came to the point where I need to buy a new set. So before jumping in and paying Apple around £150 for new ones, I thought I would take the plunge and trying a cheaper pair. Having a look around Amazon, I came across these, which were Anker branded ones for £15.99. I've always been impressed by Anker's standard of quality. Being a familiar name, I thought, why not, I'll try these ones. So let's take a wee look inside the box and see what we get. I've already obviously taken them out and used them for a few days just to get a feel of them before I put the review out. So we'll open up the box. So inside we get the instructions, replacement parts for the ear things, and a charging cable. And obviously the product itself comes in a nice charging case with the two earbuds. So let's take a closer look. Both earbuds rather, because they're not Apple, are held in magnetically, and you see the part there it charges, so a nice little, it just grabs them as you put them in, which is quite a neat touch. First impressions of the case, obviously doesn't feel as premium as the Airpods case I've got, which obviously doesn't have anything in them anymore. But for the price I don't think we can actually expect that anyway. But these aside, because we're not going to be talking about them. So for the few days I've had these, I've used them the same as I would the Airpods. Mainly for calls and listening to podcasts and a little bit of music, but mostly for really calls I use them for. Sound quality wise, I found them to be really good actually for the price. I wasn't expecting them to be as good as what they are. They really shouldn't be as good for the price I've paid for them. Compared to the Airpods, pretty much the same. It's negligible if there is any difference. Call wise, still very clear. Listening to podcasts, again very clear. Music has a nice full sound, nice bit of bass off them. You certainly wouldn't feel these are a cheap product at all. As I say, they seem to be a lot better sounding than they really should be. I also asked the recipient of the calls I've been in if they noticed any difference from when I usually speak, and he says no, so that's always a good sign as well. So far as well, the battery life seems to be pretty much on par with the Apple ones. I think the website states there's around 10 hours of battery life, but again, you can't really, I don't really want to say how long you should get and shouldn't get, because everything, there's so many variables when it comes to battery life, what the volume is, what you're listening to, if you're using them for calls and stuff. I've used them for around 2.5 hours and I've not needed to charge them, so to me that seems pretty reasonable. When it comes to wearing them, I would say they do feel comfortable, but what I will say, they're not quite as comfortable as the AirPods, Apple's AirPods. But in saying that, it doesn't mean they're not comfortable. With the AirPods I felt I could put them in and just have them there and I wouldn't even feel I had them in, which is probably why I ended up losing one of them. With these you are kind of aware they are in your ears, but in saying that, they're not uncomfortable whatsoever. So what we'll go on to now is the pros and cons of them. The pros obviously being the price point, £15.99, you can't really go wrong with that at all, you really can't. And you're getting a branded name as well, so it's not like there's, if you look on Amazon or eBay yourself, you'll see there's lots of wireless earbuds and a lot of them are probably not names you would recognise. I'm not saying they're good or they're bad, they're just not a name probably many people would recognise, whereas Anker are kind of a known name. So there's that. It's also worth noting the tap controls work on them as well if you want to answer a phone call or that. You'll be used to them if you've already got the Apple ones. You just tap once and it'll answer the call for you. So now we'll go to the cons, but with the cons there's actually something that turned out to be quite positive in the end. Initially I thought I was really happy with the headphones, but I was thinking 4 out of 5 because I couldn't see the battery life, what was left on them. But since that I've came to discover Anker have got an app. It's called Anker Soundcore, which you can install on your Android or your Apple phone, which offers updates and also shows you the battery life of the earbuds as well. What I can say about the app as well, it's very well set out and it looks like quite a premium app. When I did install the app to my phone, it did offer me a firmware update straight away, which I went ahead and done. So it's also nice to see that the headphones are well supported and they're obviously pushing out updates for them as well. As mentioned before, they weren't quite as comfortable as the Airpods, and also the case doesn't feel quite as premium, but I don't think you can really expect that at this price point. For the price of these, you could actually buy 10 of them for one set of Apple ones. So to give that some sort of comparison, so we can't be too harsh on them at the end of the day. But yeah, one proper downside to them is you can only have them paired with one device at a time. As you might know, if you've had AirPods, then you can have them paired to, you see, your iPad, your phone and stuff like that, and just move from device to device without having to do anything. But with these you have to pair them again, so not much of a hassle, but it's not as seamless. The other thing I'd go to say is not as good as the Apple ones is that the distance on them doesn't quite reach as far. I used to be able to have my phone in one room, go to the kitchen, get a drink and still listen without any sort of breakdown or interference with them. This doesn't quite reach as far as that. But again, that might not really come into play for a lot of people, but just something I noticed while using them. Overall, I'd have to really recommend these, especially at the price point. I'd even go as far to say if they were twice the price they are, I would still be recommending them in the same way. So I would definitely recommend to give them a try, whether you want to use them as your primary headphones or even as a second set to keep in the car or when you go out in case you lose your more expensive ones, but I would certainly be recommending them. What I'll do if anybody wants to buy them, I've put a link down below and hopefully you're happy as I am if you do buy them. Thanks again for watching, hopefully this review helps people out.